Right, it is early in 2024 and in the world of triathlon there have been some big sponsorship changes. My name is Daniel, this is the TriathlonDan YouTube channel. Now I am not a professional triathlete, just in case you couldn't tell, but I am hugely interested in the space. I'm a fan of the sport, I'm a consumer of triathlon goods, so I love seeing who is sponsored by who, who's working with who's riding what bike and change wetsuit and all that sort of stuff. So I spent the last few weeks observing what announcements have gone out. I'm not going to be speculating in this video, I'm only referring to people who have posted things up saying I've left X and I'm going to Y. I've not asked any pros for any additional input or any gossip or anything like that. I will be sharing my thoughts and opinions because I think that's what people do with the YouTube channel, whether they're wanted or not. Hopefully they are wanted, but please do feel free to let me know in the comment section down below any that I've missed, particularly from any pro athletes want to add anything to this or update me or explain any of these decisions. I'll be all ears. So I'm going to break this down into swim, bike, run, other miscellaneous, I think. Make sense? Let's start. So starting with the swim then, Magnus Ditlev has gone from Fusion to Roka. Now, I can't be exactly clear whether this includes tri-suit or is just swimming. Of course, Fusion don't make a wetsuit. Magnus, on the Roka announcement, it says that Magnus will be using their eyewear and race equipment. So who knows? However, what I do know is that it's widely reported that in 2023, Magnus Ditlev spent an insane amount of money on wind tunnel testing and bike equipment testing and all those things. So what that says to me is he's probably the sort of person who is going to be going for what he thinks is the best kit over who's paying the most money. Now I know this is already point one and I'm speculating, but I think that's probably a fair comment to make. So it's interesting to see and I look forward to seeing what tri-suit he's racing in this year, but he's definitely in a Roka wetsuit and sunglasses. The only other swim specific update that I could see recently was Paula Findlay and Eric Lagerstrom have announced on their YouTube channel, That Triathlon Life, if you haven't already checked it out, you definitely should, that they are now without a swim partner. They were partnered with De Boer and they're now going through a process where they're testing various different wetsuits. In the latest video, Paula tested a couple of different wetsuits, and what I'd assume they're going to do is test them all, find the best one, try and get a deal with the best brand, or even not get a deal and just use it. So that's interesting to see. I think that's perhaps a bit of a sign of the times. We'll come on to this a little bit later as well, that the triathlon specific brands aren't necessarily sponsoring loads of pro triathletes, which is strange. But to me, Eric and Paula do an amazing job on social media. They're also great athletes, and to see them without like a swim partner is crazy, but I can also see how they don't need a swim partner. So just an interesting situation to be in, I guess, and a luxurious situation that they can choose the best equipment for themselves. And that's all I could see for swimming. So onto the bike, and this is where I really get excited. And I was really excited, but in honesty, I haven't seen many or any like new partnership announcements. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of brands and athletes parting ways, and you never know whether it's the athlete's choice or the brand's choice. And I suppose it doesn't really matter, it's up to them. But it's strange to see so many athletes potentially without a bike partner. Now I know that over the next few weeks things could change, so this is as at time of recording, but let's have a look. So Ellie Salthouse recently announced that herself and Trek are parting ways, and she hasn't yet announced a new bike partner. Of course she could have one lined up, but it's not yet announced. David McNamee has announced that he's parting ways with Cervelo. I have seen that Cervelo have parted ways with a lot of athletes, not just in the triathlon world, but in the like bike influencer world as well. So maybe those things are linked, maybe they aren't. And he did reply to one of the comments on his post saying that he's not got anything signed at the minute, still looking for a new horse. So that says to me that maybe he's in discussions with brands, I don't know, but he's not currently got a bike partner. And then Cervelo again, Yeli Geens leaving Cervelo, and no announcements to who the new brand is. That's it for athletes who have announced they're leaving bike brands and don't have or not announced a new bike brand. One that's kind of in the middle is Justin Metzler and Jeannie Metzler. Now, you should definitely check out their YouTube channel if you haven't already, because they've shared their new bikes, and they have new bikes, but they bought them themselves. So Justin has a Canyon Speedmax, which is in an extra large. So Justin, when you do undoubtedly land that deal, I will have that Speedmax because it'd be my size, thank you. And Jeannie is on a Trek Speed Concept, and he just said that they tested various bikes and found what was best for them and then just bought what was best for them. And he worded it very well in his video, which I'm not going to paraphrase. You do need to go and check it out if you want to hear his full explanation. But it was essentially that they, that's their decision that they wanted to do that. So I don't know whether it was a case of Quintana Roo was chosen to part ways, or they chose to part ways with Quintana Roo, or maybe they had other offers on the table but it wasn't enticing enough, they wanted to use the best bikes that they could. I don't really know, but it's good to see that they're in the position to be able to have those cool bikes and that they are supposedly the ones that work best for them. So hopefully that has a positive impact on their racing, and then they can go on and get other bike partnerships. But I guess it's just kind of like sad that these athletes in those, the top performing athletes aren't able to get a bike partnership or haven't got a bike partnership. On to a couple of athletes who have announced they've got new bike partners. I'm really sorry if I butcher your name. Arthur Horshow going to Quintana Roo from, it looked like he was riding a Trek, but it was his own bike, not a sponsored bike. I might be wrong about that. It's just what I'm trying to piece together on Instagram. So that's cool to see Simon Quintana Roo. And then Peter Heimlich has gone from riding a Scott to then riding a BMC, but it looks like the BMC is sourced through sponsorship from a shop rather than from BMC. I don't know that for a fact, but based on the post that he put out, he was thanking the bike shop where he got it from. So they've either assembled it for him and it's through BMC, or it is sponsored by that shop. But either way, he's on the new BMC bike, which does look incredible. So awesome stuff. Now that is all I could see for bikes, but surely I've missed something. I've scoured the internet for all that I could. Please let me know in the comment section down below if I have missed any. Onto the run, and I couldn't see a single run announcement. Now, I know that in the triathlon world, it's not that common for there to be shoe sponsors. Asics, Hoka and On, from memory, are the only real big presence brands in the space, but I haven't seen many athletes talking about it, so maybe their announcement's still to come, or maybe athletes are, like many people, just flitting from brand to brand when new models are released, and therefore it's not really worthwhile signing with one particular brand. Again, let me know if I missed any of those below, but I couldn't find a single thing. On to nutrition. Now, nutrition is a bit of a strange one. I haven't seen many, if any, actual nutrition brands sponsoring pro athletes or changes in that space, but I've seen a lot more of businesses like The Feed, so they seem to be sponsoring a lot of the top tier athletes. AG1 seems to be sponsoring half the pro field. Like, there's so many athletes that are supported by them, that's brilliant. But again, they're a recovery and well-being product rather than you're doing a race and here's your fuel for it sort of product, as I understand it. And then Morton do seem to sponsor quite a few of the real top tier, so Lucy Charles Barkley, Christian Blumenfeld, and some others like that. It doesn't seem to be that many other athletes are sponsored by nutrition brands, which is strange, but maybe that's just a sign of the times. Okay, so we're now into the realms of miscellaneous now. I tried to keep this focused on like endemic brands, so brands relating to the sport of triathlon. These are sort of like on the periphery. I've deliberately excluded like car brands or like Breitling or Rolex or all the brands that are like not like triathlon specific but do sponsor athletes, because I don't really know anything about them, even less than I know about this. But one brand who have parted ways with a couple of athletes that I've seen is HEP Global. They've parted ways with Imogen Simmons and Daniel Bakkegaard. Now, again, I'm not going to speculate as to the reasons why, other than I absolutely loved the kit. The way that HEP influenced the design and the images on the kit looked absolutely awesome. And of course, the cause behind HEP is great, but I'm sure there are reasons behind it, but they're parting ways. I don't see many charities work with triathletes for exposure, so maybe that's just a shift in HEP strategy, or I don't expect them to be replaced by other charities, for example, but I guess we'll wait and see. We then have the BMC Pro Tri team. This is a little bit of a different setup, and the athletes in the BMC Pro Tri team seem to be on that team, and then all their sponsors are dictated to by that team, so it seems to be quite a good setup for an athlete who just wants to join a team, be given everything to do with triathlon and not have to deal with any of that stuff themselves. I'm sure there are like different contracts and stuff, but you see athletes come in and out of that team, and some great athletes come and go, so it's good to see that sort of format is working, and perhaps that might work in other areas and different scales, those sorts of things. But athletes who have left BMC Pro Tri team this year are Pablo De Pina, Patrick Nielsen and Max Newman, and I haven't seen anything on any of their socials or any other announcements as to what their new brand partners are, so we'll wait and see for those. And then the joiners are Clement Mignon, Lucy Byram and Sam Dickinson. Now, Clement and Lucy especially had brilliant years, or very good years in 2023. Sam Dickinson's a bit of a different one, isn't it? Like, he's a short course Olympic distance racer. Now, leading into Paris Olympics, Do we know if he's going to be selected or not? We don't know yet. There's no announcement's been made. So this does definitely signify a shift in Sam's strategy. I did see an interview that he did in which he said that, well, after Paris, he was going to dabble in this anyway. So this just makes sense and enables him to focus on those other goals. So maybe that is the case, but I really like this. I've met Sam once, actually, really nice chap, and I really hope he goes far in the sport. I'm sure there's a lot of people like him in the short course world who aren't quite winning WTCS races, but are very, very good, who could come into this world and really rock it. People like Max Stapley, third at Bahrain 70.3, for example, riding Joe Skipper's borrowed bike. Anyway, that is the sponsorship wrap up in a nutshell. Feel free to let me know any additions or comments in the comment section down below, and I look forward to keeping my eyes peeled for some more announcements in the coming weeks.